Here we go. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So thank you guys. Welcome to the Quit Sugar session. So this is going to be a very, very in-depth, intense session. We're going to be going for about an hour to an hour and a half of training. Then we're going to have questions afterwards. This is it, your secret weapon to boost your energy, your mental clarity, your immune system, and more, while supporting your body's detoxification process. This is going to be your perfect preparation for the cleanse to implement some of these steps. This isn't like a sugar detox in and of itself. These are the steps that you can do to work with your body to literally make sugar irrelevant. So at this stage, just to check, you should already be able to hear me. You should be able to see the slides now. If you have any troubles during the session, there is a button at the bottom of the screen, I believe, that says like restart or reconnect or something like that. Feel free to hit that if you need to. And here's what today's all about. This is how to quit sugar for good, the stress-free, craving-free way. How awesome does that sound? Would you love to be able to quit sugar and get these things out of your life? Hit yes in the chat box if this sounds good to you. Okay, so if you're thinking about doing a cleanse, whether that's with me in the Alkaline Reset Cleanse or whether you're thinking of doing it on your own, I really, really, really recommend that you do a cleanse in one of those paths. Sugar is the most important topic for us to cover, because whether it's quitting sugar before you start so that you can go into the cleanse without the cravings, you won't be getting detox symptoms, you'll have heaps of momentum, and your body's already going to be starting the healing and the cleansing process, because once you get that sugar out, your body can really start to recover. It really does impact all of those 5 master systems that I talked about, particularly your hormones, your digestive system, your pH buffering system, your immune. That's awesome. All right, let's get going. So the 3 sugar secrets. So sugar, straight up, is killing us right now. And as of 2015 statistics, we're currently eating 300% more than is safe on average. 300% more each day than is considered safe. And that's considered safe by like government guidelines. So what we would actually consider safe, us, compared to what government guidelines consider safe, is probably very different. And we're eating 300% more than is safe on average. Yet sales of actual sugar that you go and buy from the shop, have been on the decrease year after year since the 1970s. What is going on? It's the single biggest contributor to weight gain, type 2 diabetes, obesity, heart disease, cancer, liver disease, Alzheimer's, inflammation, autoimmune, and more. Sugar is causing these diseases to grow year on year to levels that are not just frightening, but they're just too much for our healthcare system to handle. The fact is that sugar is the #1 cause of these diseases, and it's been proven beyond doubt. Cancers, heart disease, a huge number of these have been declared as preventable through diet and lifestyle. So the World Health Organization, they're saying at least 1/3 of cancers and heart disease are preventable through diet and lifestyle. The Journal of Pharmaceutical Research found that 95% are preventable. American Institute for Cancer Research, 40%. Cancer Research UK, 54% preventable. And sugar is the biggest dietary contributor. And in studies from 2014 to 2016, with huge numbers of participants from all different backgrounds, studies with controlled food consumption, studies with crossover groups, blind placebo groups, the most robust study design that you could imagine has proven this over and over again. And yet nobody is telling us to stop. No one's talking about sugar. A 2015 study from the Harvard School of Public Health showed, look at that, 180,000 obesity-related deaths worldwide are directly related to the daily consumption just of sugary drinks. Not all the other sugar, sugary drinks. That's incredible. Like I said, on average, we're eating 300% more sugar than is safe every single day. 50% of people are eating 56 teaspoons of sugar each day. 225 grams of sugar a day. It's crazy, but no one is telling us to quit. The focus still isn't on sugar. Foods aren't coming with warning labels of how much sugar there is. There's no government removing it from their healthy eating guidelines. And this is why, if you're eating too much sugar, and maybe like most people, you might be eating too much sugar and you didn't realize how much you were eating, it's not your fault. The odds have been stacked against you. And a large part of this, a large part of the problem and the solution is sugar secret number one. Sugar, not fat, is the problem. Fat will make you thin. Sugar will make you inflamed, acidic, stressed, and fatigued. If anyone isn't hearing me yet, you can hit the reset button at the bottom of the page and it will bring me straight back up. Okay, if you're not hearing me, you can't hear that. There you go. All right, so keeping on. Sugar is the problem, not fat. The worldwide epidemics of obesity, type 2 diabetes, cancer, all of these things we're talking about that are so prevalent with numbers spiraling out of control is largely the result of two important factors. Number one, we've been lied to. We've been led to believe that fat is the problem, that fat is bad for us. And then number two, sugar has been ignored. We haven't been told about sugar. It's been allowed to become more and more excessive in our diet. The fat-free food industry is fueled by high sugar. Whenever you see fat-free on a label, that product will be absolutely stuffed full of sugar. I don't understand how this has been allowed to happen. Foods like yogurts, pasta sauce, salad dressings, condiments, packaged foods, fast foods, drinks, cereals, breads, these have all become absolutely stuffed full of sugar. These have become high sugar nightmares. Now, we could go into the politics of all this, and if we did, we'd frankly be here all day long. But the bottom line is this: the government advice that we've been fed about what is healthy or is not healthy is incredibly biased by commercial relationships, sponsorships, donors, and other financial relationships. That's just how it is. It can't be trusted. The low-fat industry is worth multiple billions of dollars, and I promise you, it is in the best interests of a lot of companies for us to continue to be fed this lie that fat is the problem and we should be consuming no fat at all, because it takes the heat away from sugar. It allows these companies to continue to stuff these products with sugar while just removing the fat. This is one of the most fundamental lies of our modern dietary life. The original research that led to the entire low-fat industry is known and has been proven to be incredibly flawed. It's all based on the now thoroughly debunked but very famous 7 countries study by a guy called Ansel Keys. He used extremely limited data from extremely select studies to create a very, very biased result indeed. In the 7 countries study, which was used to fuel the entire low-fat, high-sugar protocol that we've been fed for the last 40 years, Keys intentionally left out of these countries where people eat a lot of fat but have no heart disease, such as Holland and Norway, countries where fat consumption was really low but the rate of heart disease was high, such as Chile. He basically just used the data from the countries that supported his theory. He theorized that fat was the problem. It was a theory that could not be proven by the research. But with all research, there's always a way. And he found a way to find the data that supported his theory, even though that data was incredibly small, and completely ignored the masses of research that completely disproved what he was trying to say. He was actually quite a celebrity back in the day, and this was his crowning moment. And this one study, this one very, very flawed observational study, gained him massive, massive media attention, and it had a major influence on the dietary guidelines that we are still living by today. Now, again, I don't want to get bogged down in the history and the politics of all of this sort of stuff, but the bottom line is that the research is telling us now, beyond all doubt, that it is sugar, not fat, that is linked to all these conditions: heart disease, high blood pressure, cancer, hypertension, Alzheimer's, all of these conditions. Fat actually lowers the risk of these conditions. Fat lowers the risk of insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, obesity. Fat does not make you fat. It doesn't clog your arteries. It doesn't raise your blood pressure. It speeds your metabolism. It helps your body to remove toxins. It helps your body to use fat for fuel. It ultimately helps you get to your ideal healthy body weight. balancing your hormones, removing inflammation, balancing your acidity along the way. Now, I know for a lot of people, this is going to be a hard concept to hear, get your head around. Possibly not for you guys, but for your spouses and your families, it's going to be hard for you to explain to them why you're thinking in such a different way now. But the research is there, is proven beyond all doubt. I'm just going to run you through a couple of the studies just so that you know and can trust in this information, because it is so important that you get your head around this. Fat is going to help you quit sugar so dramatically quickly, and sugar is the problem here. So this first study, this was an awesome study. So these guys, Dr. Chowdhury and his team, looked at 72 of the best studies on fat and heart disease, and this covered, hang on, let me have a sip, more than 600,000 people across 18 different countries. They came to the conclusion that there was zero link found between total fat, not just healthy fats, but total fat, saturated fat, and heart disease. People are so concerned about saturated fat still. I was at a barbecue on the weekend, as you do in Australia, and there were two people there. Lovely people, very well educated people. They are in the medical profession, so to speak, in that industry. And they're saying, you know, what? You have coconut milk. What are you doing? That's full of fat. That's so bad for you. Oh, what are you talking about? What fat are you worried about? Saturated fat, so bad for you. I felt it best to just move on and not go down the rabbit hole with them, but it just showed to me still, I'm in this world with you guys where, you know, we're talking about stuff all the time, and you kind of just forget how ingrained it has become that fats, especially saturated fats, are still so demonized, and people are avoiding them, and yet they're some of the healthiest things you could be eating. In these studies, they did actually find that there's two types of saturated fat that can increase the risk of heart disease. They're called palmitic and stearic acid, two particular types of saturated fat. However, you cannot eat these saturated fats. These saturated fats do not exist in food. They're not out there. These two types of saturated fat can only be created within your body when you eat sugar. So these two types of saturated fat, one of the key reasons why saturated fat has had such a hard time, it increases the risk of heart disease. The only studies that could show this found that the only two types of saturated fat that did increase the risk of heart disease were a byproduct of your liver processing sugar. Again, it is sugar, not fat, that's making you fat. Even just this one study alone, they looked at 600 studies covering 600,000 people and found no link between fat and an increase of heart disease. In study 2, this was a review of 21 studies with over 350,000 people over the course of 25 years. Again, they showed that saturated fat was not associated with an increased risk of heart disease, heart attacks, stroke, or death. This is just incredible. This one is the one that kind of gets you goat a little bit, because this was a study that looked at all of the studies that led to the introduction of dietary fat guidelines in 1977. This is when the US government really went hard. You know, the Surgeon General and the government's advice was we immediately need to cut fat out of the diet, based basically on Ansel Keys' terrible single study. This study here, which was done back in 2015, actually went back through all of the data. They looked at all of the randomized trials and all of the studies that were conducted up until 1977, when those guidelines that denounced fat were published, and they could not find a single randomized trial that showed that if you lowered fat, saturated fat, or cholesterol, there would be a reduction in heart disease. They could not find the evidence for this dietary suggestion. But this is how we've been living for the last 30 or 40 years. We've been cutting fat, and we've been doing the wrong thing. We should have been looking at sugar all of this time. Now, by fat, we're talking about healthy fat. So there's still fats to keep and fats to avoid. You absolutely still want to be avoiding certain fats. The fats you want to include, things like oily fish, nuts, seeds, flax oil, chia, saturated fats from coconut, from the oil, the milk, the cream, to a lesser degree, You want to be aiming for a lot of omega-3, but to a lesser degree. Most people don't need to worry about getting more omega-6 and omega-9 because it's a massive imbalance of 6 and 9 that can cause an issue. So a massive excessive 6 and 9 comes from vegetable oils like sunflower oil, canola oil, and so on. So you want to be minimizing those and using coconut oil for cooking, dressing your salads in olive oil and avocado oil and flax oil, these types of oils. You definitely want to be staying away from trans fats, hydrogenated fats, and most definitely, please, guys, you have to cut out margarine. You have to cut out margarine. If any of you on this call right now are using margarines, please stop it now. It's probably the most toxic, carcinogenic, horrible, clogging frankenfood on earth, and I still do not know how they get to put a heart healthy tick on it. Flora in the UK, hang your heads in shame. Hang your heads in shame. It's doing so much damage to the body, and it's stopping people from consuming healthy fats. It's absolutely pathetic. So I know people are still concerned about saturated fat, but the truth is, the evidence is there. These fats do not raise any risk factors for heart disease. In fact, they actually lower most of the markers. There are so many people that are in my groups, on my training, in my membership, that have done the cleanse, that have rejoined for the cleanse again, that have put in massive amounts of coconut into their diet. Their cholesterol is amazing. Their blood pressure is amazing. It is just doing so good for them. The saturated fats like found in coconut oil, you can buy medium chain triglyceride oil, however you're getting saturated fat. These lower the amounts of small particle LDL and they raise the amounts of good cholesterol, the HDL. They actually go a step further than this because they produce the type of HDL that actually deactivates the LDL. It actually works to lower the bad cholesterol that's linked to hardened arteries. When you start adding in proper quantities of the right fats into your diet, everything changes. Your cravings disappear, your blood sugar normalizes, your liver regenerates, your hormones rebalance, your energy goes through the roof. Again, having healthy fats is such a critical part of the cleanse. Such a critical part of the cleanse. It's something that we'll be consuming a lot of during the cleanse, and I really encourage you to start adding in healthy fats now. Even if this is the only thing that you're going to do in your quit sugar journey, just this will really support you. Get low-fat foods out of your diet. Packaged low-fat foods are stuffed full of sugar, as we'll get onto in a minute. I'll run you through some examples. Get the fat back in. Very important. Sugar secret number 2, it's your hormones that need the most care. So hormonal imbalance is a symptom of the excessive amount of sugar that we've been basically tricked into consuming, and this is what we need to address. Imbalanced hormones and out of whack glands that produce the hormones that are behind so many of the common conditions and diseases we experience need to be addressed. The cleanse, I've gone a step too far to the sides. The cleanse is unbelievable for balancing your hormones, your the HPA axis of your hypothalamus, your pituitary, and your adrenals get addressed rapidly on the cleanse. This is what lifts the mental fog, stops a whole bunch of your cravings. Your cortisol level gets really well balanced out. There's a known chart with endocrinologists called your cortisol slope, and if it's the right way around, you wake up with the right amount of cortisol, you're alert, you're alive, you're not having cravings, you're feeling good, you've had restful sleep, it moves gently through the day, the slope goes in that beautiful direction, and it makes your whole day work. Your metabolism's working at the right time. You know, you're not getting midday fatigue, you're not fatigued after lunch, you're not falling asleep on the sofa after dinner, you're feeling good and you're thriving. An inverted cortisol slope, which means your body's producing the wrong amount of cortisol when you're asleep, when you wake up at night time, has actually been linked to a higher increase of early death than smoking. Just to give you the context of how important your hormones are, how important it is to quit sugar to help your hormones, and how unbelievably impressive the Alkaline Reset Cleanse is for rebalancing those hormones. Most people don't realize that an imbalance in hormones and the glands and the organs like your adrenals, your thyroid, your hypothalamus that are producing these hormones, when those are out of whack, it's at the root cause of so many conditions. Elevated cortisol, like we just talked about, is the precursor to practically every condition known to man. Over and underactive thyroid conditions cause weight gain, fatigue, joint pains, depression, so much more. It's so far-reaching. Adrenal fatigue causes skin conditions, diabetes, fatigue, metabolic disorders, memory loss, immune disorders. And when it comes to weight gain and the interruption in our production and balance of the two hormones, leptin and ghrelin, when these two are out of whack, that basically means you will never, ever be able to lose weight long-term until they're balanced. And when you're living an acidic, inflammation-rich diet, if you're eating a lot of sugar, your leptin and ghrelin will almost definitely, certainly be out of whack, without question. Excessive sugar consumption, and at the levels that we're talking about, 50% of people eating, what was it, 200, 230 grams of sugar a day. This is probably the biggest contributor to hormonal imbalance of anything, with the problems all starting with the stress that sugar is causing to your pancreas and the huge demand to keep producing insulin, and the knock-on effects that's having to your cortisol levels is spreading throughout your body. This has to be addressed, and like I said, doing the cleanse is perhaps the single most powerful way you can address this immediately. I spoke to Dr. Alan Christensen. We did an interview for my Alkaline Base Camp membership guys for one of our deep dive classes. Here's what he said: when we eat sugar, it stresses the entire hormonal balance in the body. Sugar has to be addressed. Alan is probably one of the top 10 endocrinologists in the world. He is very, very keen for you guys to go through this Quit Sugar program. Absolutely. So sugar is probably the most damaging food that we can consume whatsoever, specifically when it comes to our hormones. But yet breaking sugar addiction is so often directly linked to the proper consumption, to the proper functioning of our hormones. So when sugar enters the bloodstream, our pancreas releases insulin to maintain healthy blood sugar balance. Too much sugar causes it to release too much insulin or not enough. So this can lead to hypoglycemia or hyperglycemia respectively. Once the pancreas has been knocked out of whack over and over by this, the other endocrine glands, the system of glands that are responsible for all of your hormone regulation, just goes into overdrive and gets seriously stressed in its effort to protect your liver and your pancreas. A stressed pancreas requires huge cortisol production, not only leading to elevated cortisol levels that directly cause inflammation and insulin resistance and several cancers and diabetes and more, but when the adrenals are forced to constantly produce huge amounts of cortisol, they get drained and cannot produce any of the other hormones that they're responsible for. This is why you have to address this. In short, adrenal fatigue, another negative outcome of eating sugar and another downward spiral. The worse it gets, the worse it gets. The more sugar you eat, the worse your blood sugar is. The worse your blood sugar is, the more insulin you need to create, the more stressed your pancreas is, the more cortisol that's needed, the more stressed your adrenals get, and the worse your blood sugar is, the more sugar your body craves to try to rebalance. It goes on and on and on. I'm going to have a sip of drink at this juncture to make sure that you guys are all still there and you're all still good. If you're in the chat box, give me a thumbs up. Excellent. Thank you. It's funny, there's a time delay on this, so I'm like, okay, is everybody there? Okay, and the same goes, like I said, for leptin and ghrelin that we talked about a second ago. Leptin and ghrelin, when your leptin and ghrelin are out of balance, basically your body's, the signals that your brain is sending, the signals that you are receiving as to what you need to eat and what you not need to eat. You're basically told that you're always hungry and you're never full. When your leptin is out of balance, you are constantly feeling hungry. When your ghrelin is out of balance, You are never being sent that signal to stop eating. Can you imagine the impact that this can have on your diet, on your weight, on every other area of your body? For someone who is struggling and needing and wanting to lose weight and balance their hormones, can you imagine this? You are constantly getting the signal that you are hungry, so you're always eating, and you are never getting the signal that you're full, so you're always overeating. It's called leptin and ghrelin. Doing the cleanse will balance those quicker than anything. And quitting sugar is such an amazing first step. You know, we talked about this in lesson 2 when we talked about the 5 master systems. Sugar has such that massive impact on your cortisol. When your cortisol is raised, the knock-on effect of that is it raises the level of acidity in your body. When the level of acidity is raised, that disrupts your digestive system. It disrupts your immune system. It disrupts your lymphatic system. It disrupts so many areas of your body. Sugar is also one of the most acidic foods on earth, if not the most acidic food on earth. And like we talked about in lesson 2 as well, the research has proven this. When your body is constantly in that net diet-induced acidosis, it produces cortisol. So the cortisol then stresses your adrenals, stresses your thyroid, causes more. It is all this vicious cycle that starts with sugar, and it causes your body to get clogged and out of balance and out of whack. This is why I keep talking about the cleanse so much, because it is so powerful to solve all of these problems, all of these complicated, complex, interrelated problems of hormones and acidity and digestion we haven't even talked about yet, and your immune system and autoimmune conditions feel so complex. But the cleanse addresses all of it. It rebalances all of those systems, and that's why I keep banging on about it. You cannot have a balanced endocrine system. You cannot have balanced hormone productions if you are eating sugar. Sugar consumption equals hormonal imbalance. Sugar secret number 3, fructose. This is a big one for a lot of people, where fat was a big one at the start. Fructose is equally as big for a lot of people. This is a big switch around for many people. When we're talking about quitting sugar, we are actually 90% talking about quitting fructose. Why? Because of your poor old liver. Most types of sugar can be metabolized practically by every cell in the body. Fructose can only be metabolized by the liver. We are not designed to eat the vast volumes of fructose we now eat. It's absolutely mental. Regular sugar, table sugar, brown sugar, raw sugar, cane sugar. These are all 50% glucose and 50% fructose. Don't get me wrong, the glucose is no good either. It's still acidic, it's still oxidizing, it's still inflammatory, it's still bad news. But if you're moderately active, if you're just moving, if you're walking day to day, your body can use it. Your body can access this glucose and it can use it for energy. Fat is the preferred source of energy for the body, but your body can use this glucose. The fructose cannot be used, and it stresses your liver so much. It stresses it out. When you consume fructose, which is in all of these sugars, it causes a ginormous amount of stress to the liver. Like I said, it can only be metabolized by the liver, and it taxes it big time. Your liver spends so much energy turning fructose into other molecules that it doesn't have the energy left for all of the other functions of the liver. And your liver is so important. It's why, again, in the Reset Cleanse, we've got a whole cleanse path, a whole meal plan and recipe plan set up just for people, for their liver and kidneys, just for the liver and kidneys. You can choose that path. The liver does so much removing of toxins, producing of cells, producing of bile. It just cleanses your body. It's so, so important. And when you're stressing out with fructose, it doesn't have the energy and it doesn't have the capacity to do its other job. But that's only the beginning of it. I don't have the time to tell you everything that comes out from your liver metabolizing fructose, but just a few things. It leads to production of uric acid. So when your liver metabolizes fructose, uric acid is produced. Anyone with any inflammation, aches and pains, gout, these types of things, uric acid is a massive, massive part of that. And this is directly responsible due to the amount of fructose we're eating. Fructose also gets stored as fat. 100% of the fructose that you consume gets stored as fat. this is not obviously good news. Visceral fat, particularly if you are quite slim, but you've got a bit of fat around the waist, this can often be a very, very, very important warning signal that you need to get on top of this stuff, that you possibly should do the cleanse, but you need to get on top of this stuff. Visceral fat is the worst. That's the fat that's just around your midriff, your butt, and your thighs. And a massive amount of that is coming from the fructose that we're consuming. I mean, back on point one, the processing of fructose also leading to those 2 strains of saturated fat. That's another outcome. But yes, when you consume fructose, it gets stored as fat very, very quickly. It messes up your appetite hormones like we talked about. This is directly as a result of your liver processing this fructose. Glucose stimulates the pancreas to secrete insulin, which helps remove the excess glucose from your blood and bolsters your production of leptin, which suppresses that hunger. And when we eat glucose, the message gets delivered to the brain. Stop eating now. Fructose doesn't do this. Fructose doesn't do this. This is why we need to get the fructose out. Not just the visceral fat, but the metabolic shift into starvation mode from eating fructose causes your body to store all other foods that you consume for the rest of the day as much as possible as fat. Eating sugar puts your body into starvation mode. It sends that signal that, right, it's winter. We need to store fat. This isn't what you want. And then finally, by raising the levels of ghrelin, it keeps us hungry no matter how much we eat. Fructose makes us fat. We can't stop eating it, and it makes us eat more. As I mentioned a few minutes ago, and this is a great example when it comes to excessive fructose consumption, so I'll say it again, all of the negatives that we've been told about saturated fat, all of the research has been related to fat. It's all shown that the only damaging saturated fats are a result of the metabolism of fructose in the liver. They are not caused by the fat we're eating. People are freaking out now. I'm looking in the chat box, probably going, what about fruit? What about fruit? Yes, there you go. Louise, what about fruit sugars? When we're talking about fructose, it is in fruit. Of course it's in fruit. And I'm not saying you have to give up fruit forever. While you're getting back into balance and while you're transitioning to your cleanse, I recommend cutting it right down. During the cleanse, there is no fruit in there. After the cleanse, once you're back in balance, fruit here and there is not a problem at all. 1 or 2 pieces of fruit a day is absolutely fine. It's best to consume it in season if possible, because it hasn't been stored and transported, and the older fruit becomes, the higher the level of fructose in the fruit, because it starts to ferment and creates more sugars. But if you're eating it in season, preferably locally sourced, ideally, again, don't let that stop you from eating any fruit. If you have to have regularly aged fruit, that's, it's not a huge deal, but ideally in season. And eating it, because you're consuming it with fiber. You're eating it slowly, you're chewing it, you're mixing it with digestive enzymes that produced by your salivary gland in the esophagus, down into the gut. It's getting processed properly and slowly. Fruit juice, dried fruit, have to go. Stop those. They are concentrated. When concentrated amounts of sugar hit the liver, that's when the real problems hit. It's when it's really concentrated, it hits the liver hard. That's why I don't put fruit in my juices, because you're removing the fiber. Most people put in a lot more fruit into a juice than they would normally consume. So if you look at some of the juice things out there, you look on some of the websites, even some of the very, very popular ones, you'll see it's like 2 apples, half a pineapple, a pear in a juice. Like, who would sit down and eat 2 apples, half a pineapple, and a pear in a minute and a half without any fiber? And when you remove the fiber, it's so much more rapidly metabolized by the liver. It's super damaging. So please get the fruit out of your juices. The same goes for dried fruits. A huge hit of fructose with very little fiber, immediate stress to the liver. We have evolved. Our bodies are designed to consume just a bit of fruit. a little bit of fruit here and there, you know, 2 to 3 small pieces of fruit a day. That would be your recommended daily quantity of sugar that you require. 2 to 3 pieces of fruit a day. But if you're consuming sugar elsewhere, and you know you're consuming sugar elsewhere, you still need to then be careful with the amount of whole fruit that you eat. The issue isn't fructose from fruit. The issue is fructose that is used to sweeten thousands on thousands on thousands of processed packaged foods. In the USA, you guys have high fructose corn syrup, which is used to sweeten basically every packaged foods, especially soda. High fructose corn syrup is 100% fructose. It's not even table sugar, even refined white sugar is 50% glucose, 50% fructose. That's not good enough for the food manufacturers. High fructose corn syrup, please. 100% fructose. This is killing us. It's killing us. And not to mention it's genetically modified as well. But that's a whole different webinar. Everywhere you look now, you're bombarded by fructose. It's in almost every packaged food, and it's the main source of sweetness, and is predominantly why 50% of people are now consuming, on average, 225 grams of sugar every single day. This is so important to know because it's preventing us from making the mistakes that everybody makes when they try to quit sugar. They make sugar swaps, but they make them for completely the wrong things. You know, perfect question on your timing, Louise and Arif. Because people go, right, I'm not going to consume sugar anymore. I'm going to consume molasses. I'm going to consume agave, barley syrup, coconut syrup, honey. I'm going to go through all of these in a bit more depth in a bit, but I need you to know this now. Those are still 40 to 50% fructose. Agave syrup is actually the worst at about 80 to 90% fructose. These are still sugar. These are still sugar. So fructose is the bad guy. What about the other sugars? So generally when we're talking about sugar in the diet, we're talking about sucrose, which is basically regular table sugar, brown sugar, raw sugar, cane sugar. Those are 50-50. The body can metabolize glucose more easily than fructose, but if you're consuming over 100 grams of sugar a day, which most people are, if they're not focused on this, they are easily, 50 grams of fructose each day is way too much for your liver to handle, and it will lead to this huge blood sugar spike, the excessive insulin, and everything else we've been talking about. Other sugars, including glucose, maltose, lactose, they're okay in moderation. So if you're having those under the recommended daily amount, which is, you know, much, much lower than most people are actually at the moment, and most people would consider good, your body can metabolize these pretty well in many different areas with many different cells. And if you're physically active, you're going to burn off a lot of that as energy. And by all means, the odd bad day is fine here and there. Don't think, you know, perfection is what we're aiming for here. The odd blowout here and there is fine. When you're in balance, your body can easily cope with that. But when you're looking out for an alternative to regular table sugar, please look out for the fructose content in those foods. We've often been led to believe that if something is natural, that means it's automatically healthy. And this is not always true, and especially when it comes to sweeteners. So please never have artificial sweeteners. Please do not have those. Cut those out of your life straight away. It is so, so critical. The more natural sweeteners, like I said, honey, agave syrup, maple syrup, coconut syrup, these are all still really high in fructose, so they're actually no better than regular table sugar. Now, I know that this might be confronting for some people, and there are medicinal benefits to some honeys, particularly Manuka honey, but it's still not a safe sugar that you can just go to town with and use all of the time. It just doesn't work like that. The best choices, which we'll get onto in more depth in a little bit, to my mind, are a little bit. Stevia is fine here and there while you're transitioning. A little bit of stevia isn't a problem. And rice malt syrup, often called brown rice syrup. These are both 100% fructose free. They can be used in moderation a little bit to add a little bit of sweetness here and there, but it's so, so critical that you start to cut these sugars out. It's absolutely the single most powerful thing you can do while you're preparing for your cleanse, without question. So we've cut through a couple of slides there in one go, but that's fine. There you go. I'm just going to leave that on the screen for a second because take a note of that. Stevia in small quantities, rice malt syrup, sometimes called brown rice syrup, is 100% fructose free. So it's just much, much easier for your body to digest and metabolize and deal with than those others that contain the fructose. These 3 sugar secrets are so essential to know for quitting sugar, because if you haven't got your head around these, quitting sugar is it's almost impossible, because the studies have shown sugar is more addictive to your brain than cocaine. More addictive than cocaine. The chemical changes and alterations and processes that it makes in your brain make it physically addictive. So if you just go into this thinking, well, I'm just going to stop eating sugar, the scope is so high for you to A, get it completely wrong, and B, make it so hard. But just knowing these 3 things that I've already taught you, and we're going to get now into the more of the how to actually start making this happen next. But just knowing these 3 things makes it so much easier. Focusing on healthy fats and knowing that sugar is the thing responsible for the bad things we've been told about fat. If you get more fat in, this is going to be so much easier, so much easier. If you quit all of your sugar and don't consume fat, you're basically not giving your body any source of energy at all. So the healthy fats are critical. Focusing on healing your hormones and your endocrine system is going to make this 10 times easier, if not more. And knowing that fructose is the enemy here. Fructose, because it's got an easy ride over the years, because we think of it as the fruit sugar. So fruit's good for you, yeah? So fructose must be okay. No. It's not just the same as other sugars. It's the worst, and it's hidden everywhere. It's used to naturally sweeten things. Don't believe in natural sweeteners or colors. They're as bad as the artificial ones. They get away with murder. Believe me, I used to work in one of the biggest drinks companies in the world. These guys are smart. They know how to trick you, and they know how to bend the rules. Don't believe them. Fructose is the biggest enemy of abundant health. It is absolutely everywhere. So does all of this make sense so far? This is the framework. This is the baseline for quitting sugar. And are you already feeling like you're armed with the knowledge to start embracing healthy fats, start bringing these in as part of your quit sugar effort, to start getting that abundance of omega-3s and saturated fats? This is going to help balance your blood sugar. It's going to help you avoid cravings. That by focusing on balancing your hormones, you're going to be getting way more of a chance of success with quitting sugar. And to avoid that fructose, you can literally transform your health. This is the perfect start for the cleanse. Is all of this making sense for you so far? If so, loving it. Thank you for the yeses. You won't believe how amazingly motivated and ready you are to quit sugar. And it is so easy after I teach you these 4 steps that we're going to get onto next. I could have jumped straight into those 4 steps, but I really felt it was going to be way more beneficial for you to understand the base first, because knowing this basis, knowing this framework, it's going to make it so much easier and so much more. It's just going to make so much sense. If you're finding it tricky, if you're finding it stressful at any point during your quit sugar journey, having this basis of knowledge, these 3 sugar secrets, just makes it make so much more sense. So Marsha, we are going to be doing a Q&A after this session in about half an hour. So do make sure you keep some good questions for me for that. And then we're going to get into implementation mode. Right now, we're going to get into implementation mode. Inflammation. I've been saying inflammation so much. We're going to get into inflammation mode. So in the next 30 minutes, I'm going to walk you step by step through some of my best strategies for quitting sugar, because I know so many of you want to get into your cleanse in the next couple of weeks. So doing these steps now is going to prime you perfectly for your cleanse. Perfectly. It's going to make your cleanse 10 times more powerful and easier. But first, we're going to have a very quick toilet break and a quick hydration break. This stuff is really important, so I want you to be ready. If you started without a notebook, go and get your pen and paper now. We're going to just have a 3-minute break. It's 3 minutes to the hour now. So get some more water, fill up your water bottle, go to the toilet, do what you need to do. I'm going to be back in a minute for us to get into implementation mode. Can't wait. Hi, for those of you that are still here, sorry, the audio, I don't know why that got switched off then, but for those of you that are still here, I am having a hydration break as well. You know, this is something that I've taught a few times to my base camp members in the previous versions of the Alkaline Reset Cleanse. We'll be going through it in a lot of depth in this brand new version of the Alkaline Reset Cleanse. And I'm so stoked that I can see a bunch of names of you guys that have already joined. It's going to be so much fun. It's going to be so awesome. I can't wait. It really, really is a massive, massive step forward for so many people in their life. So if you're here, I've got a quick question for you while you're here. So just something to type into the chat box. We've talked about this in the Facebook group a little bit, but right now, what do you believe right now is the #1 obstacle that's standing between you and reaching your biggest health goals? The health, the body, the energy, the vitality that you really, really want and you really, really deserve, or that health challenge that you've been frustrated with and struggling with for so long. What is your biggest challenge right now? What is stopping you from being able to get there, to be able to take that first step even? Just write it in the chat box now, because as we go through this training, I can actually start to address some of these things. Getting off sugar, awesome. Tim Tams, bringing up the Aussie crowd. I love it. Because it's really, really frustrating to me that there's so many simple things that have been holding people back for so long. And it all comes back to this, you know, we live in a world where food and drink are obviously a massive part of being alive. You have to eat and drink, but as a culture, as a society, we've been so brainwashed by people who don't know about nutrition and health. The government, the food marketing companies, the pharmaceutical industry, all these people that have got ulterior motives for your health. They're not doing it for your health. They're doing it for their pockets. And it's so frustrating to me, because it's led to this situation where so many people are this far from having a massive breakthrough, but they've been stuck for so many years. Like, I think about people in my family that have just had the same health goal that they've been going after, the same thing at the back of their mind. I know what it's like when you've got a health challenge, particularly for people like when it's something that's life-threatening. It's right there, it's in your face, of course. When it's something that's inflammatory, like a pain, something like a chronic pain, it's right there, it's in your face. But when it's something like energy and weight, particularly weight, because psychologically, it's just every single day, it's impacting how you feel when you look at yourself in the mirror, the clothes you're putting on, all those types of things. These types of, it's so easy to get that breakthrough. And that's kind of what today is about, especially getting onto the Alkaline Reset Cleanse. We're going to have massive breakthroughs. I can't wait to start teaching that. So thank you so much for putting all of these in. One more step that I want you to go through. Just 6 to 12 months from now, 6 to 12 months, let's say we don't put this into practice. Let's say we don't do a cleanse. 6 to 12 months from now, if you haven't overcome these challenges, what's life going to be like at that stage? Where are you going to be? How are you going to be feeling 6 to 12 months from now, looking back at this day, this morning in Australia, this evening, this Sunday night, everywhere else in the world? If you can't reach your health goals, what will happen with your health? This is really, really an important exercise to go through. How will you be looking? How will you be feeling? How will life be? What's going to be going on for you 6 to 12 months from now if you haven't been able to overcome these health challenges? A nightmare. Yes. I agree. I was there. You guys, if you saw my lesson 1, I was there. I was exactly in that place. I went through this process and it was just transformational for me. But 6 to 12 months from now, if you do put this into practice, if you just quit sugar, if you just get the sugar out, if you just quit sugar, if you do go through the cleanse, if you go through the cleanse with me in our program, if you do take action today, if you do start getting the fats in and the sugar out, and you do reach these health goals 6 to 12 months from now, what will your life be like then? 4 years, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, once you've reached your health goal? For most people, reaching their biggest health goal comes with side benefits. of weight loss, of massive energy, of mental clarity, of feeling vibrant and alive, going to being able to stay up late and feeling awesome, being able to wake up early and feeling awesome. Just the extra time in the day that it gives you to have that energy. It's giving you time. You can't buy time. Bente, I couldn't have put it better myself. I love it. And she, I know because we've chatted, she has taken action. She has turned it around. She has, like you saw with Tom in the videos, like you saw with Robert and Callie and Ali and all those guys that I talked about in the videos, they took action. They drew the line in the sand. They invested in themselves and it changed their life forever. And that is what I want for you guys. If you've just been on the toilet break and you've just got back, we've just been running through a little exercise of just thinking about the biggest obstacles that we've got in our life that are preventing us from getting our biggest health. Now is the time, not next month, not next year, not in 2 years, 5 years. Now is the time. We're just going through this exercise of going, what will life be like if we can't get there when we know we can? And what will life be like when we do get there and we do take action and we do implement and we do succeed? And it paints a pretty amazing picture. So I'm going to switch back in now. We've had our toilet break. Everyone's refreshed and ready to go. Amazing results. So step one, how to get 80% of the sugar out of your life without even really noticing it. Because if you want to get to those goals we just talked about, if you want to reclaim your health, you have to get your sugar consumption well within the recommended daily limits. Remember, most people are eating over 200 grams a day, and the World Health Organization recommends that we should be eating 25 to 50 grams a day. They were saying 50 grams for a long time, and they've recently dropped it to 25 grams. This is critical. And how are we going to do this? Well, it's actually quite easy. And most of us don't even realize how easy. There's so much sugar in our diet, but like I said right at the top, the weird thing is sales of sugar as an ingredient have actually been dropping year on year since the 70s. We're not buying sugar, but we're eating tons and tons of it. 50% of us are eating 10 times more than we should every day. Have a look at this pretty basic average daily diet. This is a fairly typical diet, and the grams of sugar in brackets there. But a brekkie of orange juice with some raisin bran and low-fat milk. Mid-morning snack might have a fruit yogurt. At lunch, an iced tea with a cheese and salad sandwich. Piece of fruit maybe. Mid-afternoon snack, frozen yogurt smoothie. Dinner, perhaps a pizza or pasta or bolognese or something. A salad with a store-bought dressing and a soda. That is fairly typical. That is a very bog-standard diet. 295 grams of sugar. Let that sink in for a minute. Normal diet, 295 grams of sugar. Why? Because of the amount of sugar that food manufacturers are shoving into every single thing you buy that's in a packet. That amount of sugar, which is what I would say a huge proportion of the population are consuming, is a really average diet. That amount of sugar will be the reason for a million different health conditions, diseases, and premature death. Absolutely. The good news is that this step number one is not only really easy, but it's also really, really impactful. Remember, sales of sugar have gone down, consumption of sugar has gone massively up. This is because the trend is for us to buy a lot less raw ingredients and cook a lot less at home, but just buy packaged, pre-prepared foods instead. 90% of our sugar, especially that fructose, is coming from packaged foods. If you make it fresh, you're just not adding sugar unless you may be baking a cake. I mean, if you're making a curry at home right now, or a fresh pasta or a fresh dressing, at what stage during the making of a pasta sauce are you adding 5 teaspoons of sugar? When does that happen? It just doesn't happen. We're not doing this at home. The low-fat industry, based on the low-fat lies that we've been told, has given food manufacturers the green light to just put as much sugar in the foods that they want, because their marketing message is 0% fat. But I can tell you now, fat tastes good. It makes our food taste yummy and satisfying and filling and lovely. So when they take the fat out, they've got to put something back in to still make it taste good. And sadly, the thing that they're putting in is fructose. This is how we've ended up with yogurts that contain 0% fat, but more than your daily allowance of sugar in one single serve. And how we've got pasta sauces that have got 6 teaspoons of sugar per serving, and drinks that are just pure liquid. Again, the good news here is that we can easily identify the biggest offenders and simply remove them, and simply replace them with something that is easy and healthy and filling. The other good news is that people tend to think of quitting sugar as having to give up all of their favorite stuff, when the reality is, if you actually look into it, if you actually look at that example I gave you, the vast majority of sugar is coming from foods you probably don't even care that much about. Foods that you can easily get rid of and swap out without it even featuring as a factor in your day. This is the exercise that I want you to go down now. So pen and paper at the ready. You don't actually, sorry, this is the exercise that I want you to take notes on now. You don't have to actually go through this now. Think about it now, but don't actually go through it now, because it will be here for about an hour while we're waiting for you to do it. So just take notes on how to do this exercise. Step 1, write out your total food consumption for the past 3 days. Do it for 3 days. 1 day isn't enough. That could be a skewed day. For the past 3 days, what did you have to eat during that day? Breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, snacking in between snacks. Everything that you ate for the last 3 days. Step number 2, head to the website, if you have to, nutritiondata.self.com, to determine how much the total sugar is in each food, meal, and ingredient. You don't have to be absolutely 100% precise, but use a website like that. Some people use Calorie King. There's apps that can help you do it. That's the website I use, nutritiondata.self.com, to determine how much total sugar is in each food, meal, and ingredient. And then step number 3, simple. Using the suggestions I'm about to give you, find out the tasty, easy, simple swaps to replace these foods with low sugar, nutrient-dense alternatives. Looking back at the example, you can easily pick out just a few simple things, just having some lemon water instead of the orange juice. Even if you just had a plain yogurt instead of a fruit yogurt, drop the iced tea for just a glass of water. Definitely get the frozen smoothie out, the store-bought dressing, the soda. There's just 3 or 4 things. If you just took those 3 or 4 things, you would halve that sugar consumption. For most people, these examples feature pretty frequently as the biggest sugar event of there. The biggest sugar offenders. Things like big Starbucks coffees. You don't have to share it, Eric. Big Starbucks coffees that have got creams and syrups and all these types of things. I come across so many people that are like, oh, can I still have coffee? And it's like, it depends. What sort of coffee you have? Well, I do have an extra large latte with syrup and 2 sugars and cream on top and chocolate sprinkles, and just these types of large coffees are just packing a whole day's worth of sugar into one drink. Even just a large coffee with a large amount of milk is a ton of sugar just in the milk. So be transitioning away from those to a smaller latte, maybe even a piccolo latte, an espresso, or even a, what is it called? A ristretto, if you can get there. Things like low-fat yogurts, anything low-fat, you've got to get low-fat foods out. Frozen desserts, breakfast cereals, snacks, sauces, dressings, store-bought ready meals, takeaways, soft drinks, desserts. Most people, this exercise sounds really, really simple. Most of these, most people that go through this exercise, it's just so eye-opening, because you just go, wow, red pen, bang, 1, 2, 3 things. That has just halved my sugar intake. And they're things that I actually don't really care about. They're things that I'm having just because I'm having them. They're not things that I care about. You've got to make some shifts. Basically, the big advice of JERF, just eat real food, is so true for this. If you're cooking the food and making it yourself and making it at home, you're not including sugars. You're just not including sugars when you're cooking at home. Very few people have got sugar in their pantry even anymore, unless it's for coffee and tea when they've got guests around, because you guys don't put sugar in your coffee and tea, right? Of course not. No, not you guys. Dressing alternatives. So John, for everyone on this webinar, I will provide you guys with some awesome recipes to give you for swaps for this in your email after this session. It takes too long to go through recipes on the session, but for just things like for sauces, just such an important shift for a lot of people, because they're like, vegetables are a bit boring. But if you've just got some amazing sauces, and these will be in the guide that I'll send you, but just simply things like roasting up some veggies like tomatoes and bell pepper and red onion and courgette, zucchini, whichever you call it, and then just blending those up with some flax oil and olive oil. Dressing some vegetables of that is just unbelievable. Making your own pasta sauces that way. You can even make delicious raw pasta sauces with tons of just such nutrient-dense foods in them, with, just blending up some tomatoes, some cucumber in there, some onion, basil, even some spinach in there. Again, some bell pepper. I love to just roast up some pumpkin and put those in my pasta sauces. It's just fantastic. And it just makes that meal so much more nutrient dense, so much more delicious, and it's cutting out the sugar from those store-bought pasta sauces. It's so easy to make at home. Even dressings for salads, like I think it was somebody just said, maybe Nancy just said, olive oil and lemon juice. If you can get some flax oil in there as well, that's awesome. For something that I love to do is just getting a dark glass bottle, just filling it up with a mix of olive and flax oil, and then just infusing it with herbs and spices. Just makes it delicious for salads whenever you go. There's an amazing creamy cashew sauce that I'll share with you in that guide as well, that you guys absolutely love. These type of things. Breakfast cereals are so bad, man. So bad. But you can get really good ones. You can get really good low sugar breakfast cereals. They're still a bit processed. My favorite, sorry, I'm talking so fast now. I get really excited when I talk about stuff. Let me have a sip of drink. My favorite is to simply have oats. Cook oats in some water. At the end, just add some coconut cream. It makes it so thick and creamy and delicious. Get in there. You could have just a few blueberries. You can get some chia seeds in there. It's so coconut lovely. Some shredded coconut is really amazing on top of it. That's just beautiful. Or doing quinoa oats, or a mix of oats and quinoa together. So gorgeous, so beautiful. Kathy, I make some amazing healthy alkaline like protein breakfast bars, some little bliss balls and those types of things. I don't need a pick me up at 3 p.m. You won't either soon too. Once you get the sugar out and you start balancing that cortisol slope that I was talking about, and start getting these healthy fats and some hydration in there, you won't have that 3 p.m. slump. That's one of the first benefits that people always talk about once they've done the cleanse. Is that after, just that energy is so sustained and all day and feeling amazing. It just, once you clear out your digestive system, particularly, and the cleanse is so powerful for clearing out candida and helping your body to rebalance your gut bacteria. Once you rebalance those hormones, your energy just becomes, you wake up feeling very, very fresh. Very, very fresh and alert. That energy just stays peak, maintained, sustained, abundant, feeling great. It feels like you're on cloud nine all through the day. And because your cortisol slope is so balanced and it's not inverted, when you get to nighttime and your body gets those cues from our environment, the sun goes down, the level of lux from the daylight doesn't hit your eyes so much, and your cortisol starts to dip, it sends that message to your body to start raising your melatonin levels, and you just get naturally sleepy and go to bed at a beautiful hour, ready to wake up fresh again the next day. The energy is just gorgeous. You will love it. You will love it. So a few questions are starting to pop in now. We are going to get onto the Q&A after this session, which will be about another 20 minutes. So step number 2, how to use these fats. I keep telling you guys, we've got to get these fats in. So this is how to use these fats, get them into your diet, how to get, your fat-rich sauces and dressings, your coconut oil, your supplements, and all these types of things. This is what we're going to talk about. Healthy fat does not make you fat. Healthy fat does not harden your arteries. Healthy fat does not raise your blood pressure. It doesn't make you sick, tired, or inflamed. Sugar does. Sugar makes you inflamed. Fat is your quit sugar friend because it's going to help you in so many ways. It's going to rapidly remove cravings, Eugenia. Fat is going to help you remove those cravings, and we will talk about cravings in the Q&A if you like. Not only because it contributes to a feeling of fullness and satiety, feeling happy and satisfied after your meals, but it also really helps to stabilize your blood sugar levels. Remember, when your blood sugar drops, your body will crave more and more sugar to help it ramp back up again. And this is why so many people get such a strong craving for the sweets after their meals at 3 p.m. in that afternoon slump like we just talked about. This is because your blood sugar has just dropped dramatically. Fat, and especially for saturated fats from coconut oil, also help to dramatically decrease candida in the digestive system and eliminating one of the biggest sources of sugar and carb cravings is candida, because candida is hungry. It has to be fed with more sugar to grow. If you deprive your body of sugar, candida dies. If you infuse your diet with coconut oil, candida dies. Coconut oil contains so many strong anti-candida compounds. It's been proven in the research. It's so powerful. It's absolutely phenomenal for candida. And these healthy fats also help to stabilize your mood, your memory, your focus, your mental energy. One of the biggest symptoms people complain about for the first 2 weeks after they quit sugar can be mood swings and headaches. But having an abundance of fats, like I'm about to teach you, will make this problem disappear completely. It is essential for us to delineate between healthy fats and unhealthy fats. And then we'll look at how we're going to get enough into your diet. So on the slide, we looked at this earlier. The healthy fats we're talking about, omega-3s, saturated fats from coconuts, and then the range of healthy fats that you get in your food, such as avocado, olive oil, avocado oil, of course, nuts and seeds and chia, and green foods are such a healthy source of fats as well. Unhealthy fats, I think everyone can agree on this one. Trans fats, hydrogenated fats, fats from cheap vegetable oils, canola oils, margarine. Again, don't get me started on margarine, probably the most toxic food on earth, but we all know what these unhealthy fats are. The healthy fats we need to be focusing on. Omega-3s, saturated fats, and then looking at those fat-rich foods to get that natural sort of abundant source of different fats into our diet in the natural quantities that they occur in foods. So how much fat should we be aiming to eat? Because people might be wondering now, oh, I'm supposed to eat all this fat, but I'm still a bit worried it's going to make me fat. So how much should we be consuming? Basically, you're aiming for approximately 3 tablespoons of omega-3 a day. Saturated fat, you should be having at least 1 dessert spoon of coconut oil a day. I'll be talking about literally right now how you're going to get enough, but they're the rough quantities that you need. You can have more, so you can get more from avocados, olive oil, nuts and seeds and so on with wild abandon. You don't need to worry about having too much fat. As far as your body is concerned, there is literally no such thing as too much fat. Doesn't exist. Doesn't make you fat. If you eat too much fat, your body just expels it, doesn't use it, gets rid of it. If it's consuming of sugar, that is what's causing your body to hold on to and produce fat cells in your body. How do we get enough? Number one, the best idea, fat-rich salad dressings and sauces. So like I just talked about, and I will be giving you guys some recipes in a little workbook that I'll send you after this. Fat-rich salad dressings and sauces are such an easy way to get enough fat in the day. So one of the biggest tips that I give people, and this is part of the cleanse transitioning into plan, the before section that we go into in so much depth on the Alkaline Reset Cleanse, is just the side salad with every meal tip. So twice a day, you're having lunch, you're having dinner, have a side salad with each of those. Dinner and lunch, it could be just pizza, could be just a steak, it could be whatever. But if you're having that side salad with every meal, that's getting you 2 serves of leafy greens with each of your meals, so 4 serves of leafy greens. But number 2, really importantly, you get to dress it with a healthy fat. So making salad dressings, just flax oil, olive oil, lemon juice, bang, you're going to be getting 1 of those tablespoons of omega-3s just in that salad dressing. Or, like I said, infusing oils with garlic, or with chili or rosemary and thyme and lemon and basil or cilantro, or all of these delicious herbs and spices infused in your oil, means that when it comes to making a salad, you can just go bang, bang, 2 handfuls of spinach, get this dressing on there. You can be done at just that. Just that. The dressing brings it to life and makes it taste so fantastic. These infused dressings are awesome. Awesome. I also love to blend up some coconut yogurt with cucumber and mint. Fantastic. My famous cashew dressing. Again, all of these recipes will be in your thing, but just thinking, where can I add fat? How can I get some flax oil into this? How can I add almonds or chia seeds or coconut oil into my salad dressings and into my sauces? You know, for a lot of people, we're talking literally day one here. We're talking like, at the moment, my diet is awful and I need to start day one. For you guys, even if you've got the store-bought pasta sauce that you're going to have on top of white pasta for dinner, you can add more fat to that sauce. I recommend making your own one, and I recommend not having pasta. But if that's what you're going to have a side salad, have one of the dressings on it. But even if you're not even doing that, just be thinking, how can I get more fat into this meal? How can I make this happen? For those people that are not vegan and are okay with having butter or ghee, looking at those things like the bulletproof coffee thing. I'm not a huge fan of having coffee. It stresses your adrenals. I think it's really important to cut it out for a while or transition away while you're getting back in balance. Once you're in balance, a bit of coffee here or there in moderation is fine. But doing a bulletproof type thing, I'll put another recipe I'll put in this guide for you, will be my turmeric version of a bulletproof coffee that's got loads of healthy fats in there. My one doesn't necessarily have butter, but it's, you know, fresh turmeric, coconut oil, coconut milk and coconut cream, those type of things. And it's just an amazing, fatty, energizing, anti-inflammatory start to the day. But this where can I put fat-rich salad dressings and sauces is a great first start. Adding fats to your smoothies. So if you're going to be doing the cleanse with me, we're going to be having a lot of smoothies, and we'll be putting fat in every single one of them. We'll be getting avocados in there, avocado oil, flax oil, olive oil, especially coconut oil. It's just such a great way to get fats in there. You know, if you've got a high-powered blender, you can add things like almonds, you can add things like chia seeds, you can add things like flax seeds. It's such a fantastic way. A smoothie is such a delivery mechanism for your fat content. It's so easy to do. But don't just be thinking, what oil can I pour in here? Think about those ingredients. Avocados are so prevalent in my smoothies, but thinking of things like almonds and cashews and chia seeds and all these type of things, such an easy way to get more fat in. Blending fat into soups. So whenever you're making soups, again on the Alkaline Reset Games, you'll be consuming a lot of soups as well. But whenever you make a soup, just be thinking about, how can I get some fat into this soup? You know, similar to with the smoothies. And then just adding nuts to everything, adding nuts to soups, salads, smoothies, breakfast, snacks. Having almonds, just almonds, some soaked, preferably almonds, as a snack every day is such a great brain boosting, omega-3 winning way to get healthy fat into your diet. These 4 techniques I find help most people easily get enough fats. The coconut oil, especially, and I haven't talked about in these ideas, but adding coconut oil into your oats in the morning is also a massive win. Even cooking with coconut oil is a pretty good way. The light, heat, and air are the biggest foes of oils, but coconut oil is really tolerant of all 3. So even if you're cooking your food, whatever that might be, it might be a quick stir fry, or it might be, cooking up some veggies. Cooking with coconut oil is also a really easy way to do it. Putting coconut oil in your coffee is awesome, and all of those types of bulletproofy type of concoctions are amazing. Arif, you're winning already, clearly. Yes, and Bente, I'm getting that all wrong, aren't I? But yes, I have definitely seen that in Europe, the full fat cream in the coffees. Now, supplementation is something that I don't love to sort of recommend all the time, because it's like, nature has given us amazing tools. But when it comes to fats, It's so important to get enough healthy omega-3 each day. I do recommend, if possible, that you all use an omega-3 supplement daily, even just as your safety net. Even just to have there as a safety net, because it means you'll be at least getting some decent level of omega-3 every single day. It is so, so critical, and it's so critical to this quit sugar path that I really, really recommend you do that. Step number 3, start the day right to eliminate 80% of the problems at their root. So the journey to quitting sugar, breakfast and how you start your day is absolutely critical. Either skipping breakfast or having a typical standard Western breakfast, which we'll get onto that in a second, leads to a blood sugar disaster. It increases cravings, it makes quitting sugar impossible, it makes you hungry, it imbalances your hormones, and so much more. When you skip breakfast, this is the worst. Your blood sugar level immediately plummets and you do your cortisol slope no good at all. Even if you're one of those people that claims, oh, I don't get hungry until later, I'm not hungry when I first wake up. You might not think it, but your body is still crying out for nourishment. When your blood sugar drops from you becoming active, the sunlight hitting your eyes and your bodily functions of daytime starting, you need to start nourishing your body. Your body is going to crave sweet foods if you don't do this. There is no question about it. Your metabolism will slow, your adrenals will be stressed, and your body will always stay in that starvation mode, meaning that when you do stock up later in the day on foods, you're far more likely to eat unhealthy foods, and those sugars will all be turned into fat. There's studies that show that females who didn't eat breakfast had a higher insulin and blood sugar levels after they ate lunch a few hours later than when they had on a day when they did eat breakfast. The hormones were stuffed. In another study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, they found that men who skipped breakfast had a 21% higher chance of developing type 2 diabetes than those who did eat breakfast. Basically, you've got to eat breakfast, even if it is, as a whole bunch of people have said in here, they're just having a smoothie, a big fat smoothie with loads of greens and coconut oil and avocados and all that sort of stuff. If that's your breakfast, that's awesome. Get hydrated, have a big smoothie like that. That's fantastic. Remember, guys, questions I will be addressing after this training, which will be very, very soon. Now, what happens when you eat a standard Western breakfast, a typical Western breakfast of fruit juice, tea and coffee with sugar, breakfast cereal with milk and sugar, toast, bagels, breads, pastries, jam, spreads, honeys, fried bacon, fried sausages, all these types of things. These are all full of 2 of the most horrible, inflammatory, blood sugar ravaging, hormone imbalancing, acidic foods you can imagine. Sugar and gluten. The huge amount of sugar from a breakfast like this, just like the one that we had above, of juice, raisin bran and low fat milk. This doesn't even include them also then having, you know, like a pastry or some toast and jam. Just that juice, raisin bran, low fat milk, 54 grams of sugar. That's 12 teaspoons. It's just crazy. And, you know, if you were following the dietary guidelines that the governments are putting out there for us, that's a healthy start. That's what they're saying is a healthy breakfast. A fruit juice, some cereal, some high fiber cereal and low fat milk. That is what doctors the world over are telling people to eat as a healthy breakfast. And that's 54 grams of sugar, a massive amount of inflammation, a ridiculous amount of grains in there as well. The blood sugar spike from this would leave you feeling incredibly low about 90 minutes later. That's how long it takes for your insulin spikes to transport the sugar around the body. Your liver would be stressed out metabolizing that fructose. Your pancreas is stressed out from producing the insulin to manage all of this. It stresses your adrenals. It's inflammation that's going on. It's just 54 grams of sugar on an empty stomach. No, you need to start getting these types of foods out and getting a much, much better breakfast in. If you want to quit sugar, you have to follow this step and have a solid start to the day. And here are my rules. Rule number 1, eat within an hour of waking up. Eat within an hour of rising. This is really, really important. You have to do this. Your body has been through a massive amount of work overnight. It's been through quite the process. When you wake up, you need to repair, refuel, re-nourish, and give it the tools it needs to crack on with your day. If you leave yourself hungry, but start getting up and being active and moving around without any nourishment, without any foods after this 8-hour fast of your sleep, bad news for your cortisol spike, bad news for your hormones, bad news for your acidity, bad news for your digestive system, your metabolism, inflammation, your immune system. Bad news, eat within an hour of rising. Rule number 2, try to get a decent amount of protein into your breakfast. I like to aim for around 20 grams. If you can't quite get there, it's not the worst thing in the world. Don't be thinking I'm like gym junkie, you have to be like super protein dude. That's not what we're saying here. But getting a decent amount of protein at this time of the day when you first start does wonders for your body, absolute wonders for your body. Including lots of healthy fats and fiber, as we've talked about. You've got to get the healthy fats in there. This is the perfect time of day to do it. Rule number 4, which my little guide that I'm going to give you after this video is going to help you with, include as many vegetables as possible. This is such a strange concept for a lot of people, I know, but if you can do this, it really makes a huge difference. Hello, I'm sorry, I think I just lost the sound there for a second. Sorry, guys. But yeah, trying to get some vegetables in at the start of the day is great. This is why an alkaline green smoothie or a green juice is going to be your friend. If you're going to be having oats, one of those type of things, or a chia pot, or a quinoa porridge, or something like this, or a different type of cereal, buckwheat and millet, and these types of things, you know, a traditional kind of breakfast or a cooked breakfast. You know, for you guys that aren't vegan like Arif, eggs are okay a couple of times a week in my book. You know, there's a lot of hardcore people that will not touch eggs, and that's fine. Totally get that, totally fine. But if you do want to include eggs and you're not vegan, a couple of times a week. So if you're having a cooked breakfast, these types of things, having a green juice or a green smoothie with this, or an hour later, or just before, or this other thing, perfect, perfect, perfect. It is such an amazing way to make sure you're hitting all 4 of these rules. Now, not everyone is going to hit all of these rules every day, but if you can try to hit 2 or 3, preferably, of these each day, it's going to set you on a really fantastic path. These 4 rules will balance your body like nothing else. They're absolutely fantastic for this, especially if you can include as many of those alkaline, antioxidant rich, anti-inflammatory foods in your morning routine as possible. It's going to make a massive difference for you. Starting the day right is so powerful. We're going to talk about this a lot in the Alkaline Reset Cleanse program. So for those of you who are already in the Alkaline Reset Cleanse, there are tons and tons of delicious breakfast recipes in there that are going to set you up for massive energy. There in the before section, and then again in the Alkaline for Life bonus, the after section as well, because breakfast is so important. When you start the day right, when you start the day with an amazing breakfast, it just gives you that, oh gosh, that momentum for the rest of your day. When you start your day badly, it's so easy to just be, oh yeah, no, well, don't worry about that, I'll just start tomorrow. Or, you know, when the cookie jar comes out at work, or you're getting that mid-morning hunger snack or that energy dip. If you start your day badly, it's so easy to just cave and give in. When you start your day well with a juice or a smoothie or this really healthy breakfast, and, you know, you've got up and you're in the mood and you're feeling the vibe and you've got that momentum, you just don't have that inclination to backtrack on that. You don't want to waste what you've done. You're feeling good and you want to feel better. You want to feel more of that feeling good. And you just keep that momentum going. Starting the day right is so important. And when you start the day right following these rules, your blood sugar will be so much more balanced. Your hormones will be so much more balanced that your cravings for sugar will disappear so much more quickly and easily. You'll find that they'll just stop emerging. Like I said, for those of you in the Alkaline Reset Cleanse, you're going to be getting tons and tons of these amazing breakfast recipes. If you haven't joined yet, what are you doing? What's wrong with it? No. If you haven't joined just yet, don't worry about that just now. Stick with me on the webinar for now. But just try to think about breakfast like gluten-free oats with chia, coconut milk, coconut oil, nuts and seeds, smoothies with greens and healthy fats and nuts, big glasses of green juice, a cooked breakfast that's got loads of really gently steamed spinach or tomatoes and kidney beans and those type of things alongside your normal cooked breakfast stuff. It's really, really fantastic. Having a breakfast like this will make it so easy to steer clear of sugar during the rest of the day. If you skip breakfast and then have a sugary snack for morning tea, forget about it. It's going to be practically impossible to stay rid of sugar for the rest of the day. If you have a really sugary breakfast, the cravings are going to be coming after you 90 minutes later, I absolutely assure you. But if you have a breakfast like this that contains these fats, protein, fiber, and loads of alkaline nourishment, if you start the day right, you start the day with the right cycle. And that's the important thing. Because ultimately, giving up sugar is about two things: cravings and the desire for sweet taste. And by starting the day right, we practically fix all of that. It just leaves you with the mental trigger of wanting to keep going and getting the sugar out for good. Step 4, this is critical. Giving up grains, the one thing that does the same damage as sugar that nobody told you about. For decades, we've been told that we should be eating 2 to 3 serves of healthy whole grains every day. We've been told it's healthy. We've been told that it's important. It's an integral part of a balanced diet. But what if it's not? What if it's not true? What if the supposed benefits of grains were not only not true, but the consumption of grains was the driving force behind almost all of the chronic conditions that we're suffering from? There is irrefutable scientific evidence to show that grains cause inflammation, insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, brain conditions such as depression, Alzheimer's, IBS, chronic digestive issues, fatigue conditions such as fibromyalgia, skin conditions, and so much more. I can tell you, if you want to quit sugar, but you keep eating these gluten-containing grains, you're going to find it impossible. And why? Because these grains, these gluten-containing grains, contain literally poisons that will spike your blood sugar like nothing else. If only this, they contain a super carbohydrate called amylopectin A, and that drives your blood sugar up very, very high, very, very quickly. And remember, if you're on anything like a standard Western diet, about 70% of your food consumption is either grain-based or contains sugar. And both of these are going to be driving your blood sugar absolutely crazy. And like we discussed, when there's high blood sugar, insulin is released by the pancreas. And the higher the blood sugar, the more insulin is released. And if you trigger these high blood sugars repeatedly, the accompanying overproduction of insulin is going to lead to huge and rapid production of visceral fat around your abdomen. And the bigger your belly, the more visceral fat, the worse your response to insulin. And the result of that is more insulin is needed, creating a vicious cycle. Again, nothing is provoking high blood sugar like wheat and sugar. Even if you give up the sugar and you're still eating wheat and other gluten-containing grains like rye and spelt, you'll still be in trouble, and giving up sugar will become nearly impossible. When we get into this cycle of insulin, blood sugar, inflammatory response, fat, more insulin needed, more blood sugar, more inflammatory response, it all starts with the consumption of wheat. It switches off your body's ability to burn and access fat as fuel. When you're eating mostly wheat and grains, as we've been told to for so many years, your body becomes resistant to insulin's efforts, and more and more and more has to be created. The sheer volume of insulin eventually will damage your pancreas and lead to even greater volumes of visceral fat and a whole host of chronic fatigue and inflammation. Guys, you have to cut the grains out of your diet. You have to cut the grains out of the diet. It is the most digestively destructive, hormonally imbalancing, acidic, immune system shredding food, only beaten by 1% than sugar. For some people, grains are even actually worse. There is so much depth we could go into on grains. There is so much depth. Just even grains containing that special protein called zonulin. Zonulin is the protein that is responsible for causing tiny tears and holes in your intestines, in your digestive tract, that directly lead to leaky gut. Okay? When you've got leaky gut, autoimmune conditions start. Your hormones get completely smashed. And all these things knock on just from consuming these gluten-containing grains. These are also contributing to your sugar cravings more than basically any other food. But sadly, so many people reduce, when they're trying to give up sugar, don't even think about the grains. And it makes it 100 times harder. Reducing gluten intake is really one of the easiest things you can do. In the Alkaline Reset Cleanse, we have got a whole program all about just getting the grains out of your diet, make it so super easy. And obviously the cleanse is completely celiac friendly. It's completely gluten free, and you start to undo that damage. One of the main reasons why I've built this concept into the cleanse, specifically undo the damage from gluten, is because it can be the root cause. It can be that foundation that so few people ever get to. They never get to that place of undoing that root damage that the gluten has done. Things like leaky gut, things like that insulin imbalance, things like adrenal fatigue. We work on those specifically in the Alkaline Reset Cleanse so we can undo that damage. Gluten is also the primary reason for candida overgrowth. By eliminating these grains, going through a cleanse, candida is easily swatted aside. We get rid of candida so easily when you go through a cleanse. It's just fantastic. Now, I've just got really, really overexcited and gone through a few slides at once then. Again, similar to sugar, 80% of the gluten that you're consuming is regularly coming from just a handful of different foods. Things like breakfast cereals and breads at breakfast, pasta, breads for sandwiches and lunch, processed foods, meals and snack bars and ready meals and those types of things. Having sandwiches and pasta is just working out solutions to those two, and breakfast cereals really will eliminate 80% of the gluten from your life. People think it's going to be the hardest thing in the world. It isn't. If you are actually diagnosed with celiac disease, I get your pain, I get the struggle, because, you know, small, tiny amounts of gluten hidden in things can cause a massive reaction. But for everybody else, you don't have to be absolutely perfect. If you can get 80% of it out, and if you did accidentally have some soy sauce that contained it, or you did accidentally have a salad someone made that had something in it, you know, it's not, sorry, I just spilled my drink about it. It's not going to be the end of the world for you. I'll just worry about that mess later. It's not going to be the end of the world for you. So getting that minimum effective dose, like we talked about in the training already, like we will talk about a lot in the Alkaline Reset Cleanse training, that minimum effective dose, that 80-20 of getting the gluten out of your diet is going to give such a huge benefit for you. And like I said, breakfast cereals, pasta, bread, they're the main things ultimately that are going to be causing you the biggest amount of gluten in your life. These are really, really straightforward and easy to swap. So these are going to be your friends, quinoa and oats, used to replace rice. They're used as a delicious breakfast. You can make burger patties with these. You can use them in soups. You can use them in smoothie. They replace your breakfast cereals. You can fill out salads with quinoa. Quinoa is just such a powerful one. You can use it in soups and sauces to make them more filling and feel more filling and bulky. So many people are worried that if they stop eating gluten, they'll stop feeling full. Using quinoa and oats is an amazing way to overcome that. Chia will become your friend. This is awesome in grain-free cereals. You can make crackers. I'll put a cracker recipe using chia in your little booklet that I'm going to give you. You can soak chia in coconut milk or almond milk and make an amazing breakfast or dessert. It's that delicious. Chia will become your friend. Sprouted breads and wraps. Awesome. Sprouted grains don't contain the gluten. You have to watch out. Some brands then put gluten back into the bread, but most don't. Most are really good. If they go into the effort of manufacturing a sprouted bread, they're usually pretty switched on and have quite a healthy aim for their products. But sprouted breads and wraps are absolutely amazing. Look for them in health food stores. Look for them online. Cauliflower rice is amazing. So rice doesn't contain gluten per se. Still be used in moderation, but it still does spike your blood sugar a bit. So cauliflower rice is a really good option. To make it, you literally just break up a head of cauliflower, put it into a blender or a food processor, and just pulse it, woo, 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 until it becomes rice-sized in its consistency. You can just gently fry that up with a bit of coconut oil, some turmeric powder. Delicious, absolutely amazing. The gluten-free products, gluten-free packaged products, just touch on that for a second. They're okay at times. You've got to be really careful with them. Look at the back of the packet, look at the ingredients in there. you know, whenever an industry becomes sizable, like the gluten-free industry has become, traditional food manufacturers jump on board, and those guys couldn't give a monkeys about your health. They just care about getting you addicted to their products and selling more of them. So they will put fillers and additives and preservatives and rubbish in there. So be careful and use them while you're transitioning. Use them while you're getting used to a new style of meal at lunch. If you're like, sandwiches is what I have. Use sprouted breads, ideally, but you can use just packaged gluten-free breads to begin with while you're getting into the habit of making different types of recipes. Just be careful that they haven't stuck in tons and tons of sugar. Arif, yes, okay. We will talk about turmeric in just a moment, and I will talk through with you exactly which grains we're talking about here, which ones are good and which ones are not so good. I'll cover that in the Q&A as well in just a moment. Again, if you've ever tried to quit sugar before but was still eating wheat and other grains, this is why it's so hard. The grains are still replacing or replicating a bunch of the bodily reactions and processes that the sugar was doing in terms of your blood sugar, your insulin, your cortisol, adrenal fatigue, inflammation, digestive congestion, mental fog, low mood, and probably worst of all, the cravings that the sugar was fueling. The grains are doing the same, keeping you in that spiral of blood sugar highs and lows. Everything I've taught you today, I want you to see that you can do this. This is all within your reach. If you're planning on starting a cleanse soon, and I would love to be your coach in doing that, and if you are planning a cleanse soon, quitting sugar ASAP is the perfect preparation. That's why in the Alkaline Reset Cleanse program, you get my whole quit sugar plan. It's my flagship 14-day sugar, step-by-step sugar challenge. That's a free bonus in the Alkaline Reset Cleanse. It just makes it so easy. Because it's the perfect way to prepare for a cleanse. It's also great, like I said, to have in your toolkit for after a cleanse, for further down the track, if you ever find that these things have crept back in. So we've learned a lot today, guys. We've covered a lot today. I know we've only had, what, an hour and a half here of training. It's not that long. We're really just scratching the surface of implementation. I would love to go a bit deeper on this with you, and we will go deeper on some of it in the Q&A. But let me ask you a question. How would you like to carry on learning from me like this? All the stuff we've just covered is obviously really exciting. Having that much more energy, making it that much easier, getting rid of the cravings, quitting sugar without the stress, makes it so awesome. But as your teacher, I want to continue to serve you, and I want to help you to actually implement all of this stuff. So I've got something I want to talk to you about now, and that can help you, and I'd like to share it with you, but I know it's polite to ask first. Is that okay? If it's not, that's no problem. But let me know if you want to learn more on this in the chat box. Say yes right now, and we can move on to that. And I'll have a sip while we do that of what's left of my drink. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank goodness I have 3 different drinks on my table, so I've only lost one of them. Look, I'm so passionate about helping as many people as possible. I really believe that, like I said earlier, it's a travesty of the modern world that we live in, that so many people are living with pain, with aches, with inflammation, with these health challenges, with loss of freedom and flexibility of their life, with ongoing problems with weight and these things. And it can be so easy to make that breakthrough and get that next step. This is what drives me. This is my life's mission and my purchase. And I do feel that I have a skill for this. I feel like I've got a skill that I've developed, and it's kind of I don't know where it came from, but I feel like I've got this skill for making it easy and making it achievable and making it realistic and making it doable. And it shows in the results. Like I've seen the results in my life, in my family's life, in the people that I've worked with, in my past clients, with the members of my Alkaline Base Camp, with the people who have already been through the Alkaline Reset Cleanse or one of my other programs, the people that have bought my books and trainings over the years. I've seen the results over and over and over again. People are losing weight. People are beating fatigue. People are overcoming massive health challenges that they've had for so many years, and they're doing it quickly and easily. And I believe that the framework that I've built, that I've taught so many of you in the Cleanse Kickstart workshop, built around that AAA method, built around those 5 master systems, this works. When you get to the core of the problem, this works. Now, I'm not showing you these results on the screen to brag. I'm showing you this to show you that these guys that all went through the Alkaline Reset Cleanse, they got these breakthroughs and they got them quickly. We're not talking about a lifetime away here. We're not talking about a 12-month slog. We're talking about doing the cleanse and doing it in 7 days and getting an unbelievable platform for your body. The results that you get during the cleanse are phenomenal. The results that come after the cleanse, because you've cleansed and you've given your body this platform for massive, massive energy and success, the results that you get after the cleanse just keeps getting better and better and better. Little changes like adding a juice, adding a salad here or there, making small changes like that are awesome, and that's great, and it gets the ball rolling and it builds some momentum, and I love that. But if you've got a big health goal, if you've got something that's really important in your health right now, if you've got a challenge you need to overcome, something that's been blighting your life for years, holding you back, putting you in pain or knocking your confidence, I cannot recommend enough that you follow the steps in my training and give your body a gift of doing a cleanse. As someone who's been through the Alkaline Cleanse workshop, as I believe that most of you guys have, you've seen those introductory videos I've sent over the last couple of weeks, you realize that the types of benefits that I put up on the screen back then, the types of benefits that we're talking about, you know, getting rid of fatigue, losing weight, beating inflammation, overcoming all of these types of challenges are not just possible, but they're almost certain, they're highly probable when you give your body the tools it needs to balance. The types of foods that you'll thrive with, the types of foods you'll consume in abundance during a cleanse. You'll have seen and heard these amazing results. IBS gone, reflux gone. These things are just the tip of the iceberg. Of course, nothing in life is guaranteed, and I can never promise a specific benefit as typical, but the past is a great predictor of the future. And if you follow the steps and you go through the cleanse, you give your body this amazing gift, your health will improve dramatically. If you're with me on this session, I already know you know that your health is the most important thing above all else. Your health is the foundation for all of the happiness and joy and success in your life. And I've coached thousands of people through the Alkaline Reset Cleanse, and the results are always amazing. And it's this, getting results like these, that drives me, that makes me so passionate. You've seen Tom's story. He was facing a lifetime of medication. He had high blood pressure, inflammation, excess weight. He was on medications. He was on medications because the side effects of the medications were so bad. He was in pain every day. It wasn't looking good. He did the cleanse. He drew the line in the sand. He committed, and it was perfect for him. It gave him so much relief, instantly gave him release. Within the first 7 days of doing a cleanse, his blood pressure was starting to normalize. It was down. After 10 days, he was in the normal range. It's incredible. A week after he finished the cleanse, by putting in place after the cleanse training, his pain, his osteoarthritis, his inflammation had completely gone. His energy was up. His attitude and his mood were unrecognizable. His life had changed. His weight dropped 10 pounds in the first week, 24 pounds in the first month. 6 months later, he was down 63 pounds and back to his ideal body shape and living the life he was meant to lead. You saw Robert's story. Robert had polycystic kidneys, and he was told by his doctors to just live with it. Chronic fatigue was going to be a part of his life, and it was going to get worse and worse with every year. He just had to live with it. He didn't accept that. When he started, he couldn't even walk the 40 meters down his driveway to fetch his mail. Today, he's just run his first marathon. He's vibrant, he's full of energy, he's exercising. He said no to the idea of just living with it, and he committed. He drew the line in the sand, and he got the result. This just works. And there are thousands of others out there who have already been through the Alkaline Reset Cleanse. They're already living a life of amazing energy, vitality, free from pain, free from inflammation, free from fatigue. The Alkaline Reset Cleanse just makes it enjoyable and effortless. The level of energy and mental clarity and sharpness you feel is insane. You feel light and positive and energized. You never go hungry. You never feel tired. You never feel stressed. It's just 7 effortless days that leaves you feeling amazing, full of goodness, your body healed quickly, just effortless abundance. And the results are amazing. And not just during the 7 days of the cleanse, but once you've finished, it becomes like day one for your new life. I'm so passionate about this. I'm so passionate about teaching you this. It's just such an easy path to unlock that energy, unlock that health, because it does what your body wants. It gives your body what it wants. It gets to the root of it. It moves you forward and you never look back. We've already got a whole bunch of people who have joined the Alkaline Reset Cleanse. There's so many people already in the Facebook group, and it's really, there's some amazing momentum starting to happen. We're already achieving things. It's absolutely wonderful. And I would love for you guys to join us as well. I would absolutely love to have you on the Alkaline Reset Cleanse. All you have to do is join the cleanse, follow the steps, and get the result. It is a phenomenal process. I really want to walk you quickly through what is actually in the course, because I know that there's people out there who are ready to go, but they want to make sure that they're going to be having all the steps covered. So what is in the Alkaline Reset Cleanse? Really quickly, it's a total coaching program led by me, giving you everything you need to be able to easily prepare for your cleanse, do your cleanse, and then follow up after the cleanse. It makes the whole journey easy and effortless. You get all of the training videos that you need. Every video's got a transcript and a working action plan guide. You get all of the information you need to know before the cleanse, what foods you should be eating, how you should be transitioning, how we can move away from sugar and gluten and processed foods and this, and getting your body with some really simple steps to get you ready to transition for day one of your cleanse. So when you start the cleanse, the momentum's already there. This is how easy I make it. So this was Scotty, who was did the cleanse with us last time around. He intended to go for 5 days. He posted this 36 days later. So he was on the cleanse for 36 days. That just shows how easy it is. He lost 4 inches off his waist. He lost 83, sorry, he didn't lose 83 kilos. He lost 13 kilos. He's feeling amazing. He was looking amazing. His energy was amazing, and he was having such a great time. I'm showing you this. I don't expect you to do a 36-day cleanse. I'm expecting you to do a 7-day cleanse, but this is just an example of how easy I made it. As soon as you join, you get access to everything you need to do the cleanse. It's in a private members website with every section and every session laid out for you really cleanly, really easily, with all the videos, the workbooks, the transcripts of the videos, everything laid out step by step to make it as easy as possible. But you also get me. You get me as your cleanse coach. I'm working with you personally whenever you need me, whenever you're ready to start your cleanse. The minute you join, we kick off together with our getting to know each other email. And from that moment on, I've got your back. Listen, I know that everybody's journey is different. Everyone's got their own path. Everyone's got their own different challenges and goals and backgrounds and details and things they're going through. And so it's amazing peace of mind for you to know that this isn't a one-size-fits-all program, but that you've got me here to support you. You also get access to that private members community, which is also buzzing. It's a tight, close-knit community of really supportive, really like-minded people, many of which have been through several cleanses before. And we're all here to support each other, look after each other, to give you that accountability too. And I'm in that community too, getting to know you and working with you on it. And when we kick off about a week from now, we're going to be kicking off formally. You'll be getting your username and password to that private members website. There's those 3 core modules before your cleanse, what you do after your cleanse, and of course the 7 days of the cleanse. The training is there 24/7, 365. So you don't have to be ready to start right now. It doesn't matter if you've got a commitment or a function or a holiday or something coming up. You can start whenever the time is right for you. You can do the training whenever the right time is right for you. You can go through the cleanse whenever the time is right for you. It doesn't have to be immediate. I'm here for you whenever you need me. During your cleanse, during part of the training, this is where I teach you exactly how to do the cleanse. And this is a brand new bonus that I've just included in this version of the Alkaline Reset Cleanse. So obviously you get your meal plans, your recipes, and your shopping list. So at the start of your cleanse, the day before you start, you just print out your shopping list, Take it to the shops, buy the rest of it, buy the ingredients that you need, go shopping. You've got everything you need for every day of your cleanse right there. In this version of the cleanse, I've actually created 11 different meal plans for 11 different goals. So whether your goal is, like I talked about earlier, liver and kidney support, or whether it's weight loss or more energy, or to get rid of inflammation or reflux or hormone balance, digestion, I've got you covered. There's a different cleanse path depending on your goal. This is massive and it's amazing, and it's going to work incredibly well for you, so your cleanse can be tailored to your goal. There's so much in this that I couldn't possibly list everything, but by the time you've done the before section, you would have already got the momentum. You would have got certain food out. You would have effortlessly started including certain foods and nutrients just habitually, day by day, easily. So when you start your cleanse, you're going to be in the perfect place with zero cravings, zero stress, zero headaches, no fatigue. Then we train you to do the 7 days of the cleanse with these meal plans and these shopping lists and these recipes and these how-tos, how to avoid detox symptoms, what do you get if you get detox symptoms, what to do if you get hungry, how to get out of that, what to do if you get certain cravings, how to do the whole cleanse, breathing exercises, actual exercises for the cleanse. It's all laid out for you step by step. And then in the after section, I take you through what you need to do in those really super important 24 to 48 hours after your cleanse, and then onward for the next 4 weeks with the Alkaline for Life plan. Because if you finish your cleanse right, if you put the right steps in place after your cleanse, man, you can take your benefits that you get from the cleanse, like Tom did, and ramp them right up, magnify them, and make the feeling and the benefits from the cleanse last days and weeks and months. Even after you finish the cleanse, it's absolutely fantastic. Then, of course, we've got the group cleanses. So this is an option for all of you guys who love to do things as a community, or for people that are worried that they're going to just procrastinate and put this off and never get started. The group cleanses give you the power of that line in the sand. They give you that date. They give you me every single day working with you day by day. I send you a daily email, send you ideas and strategies and tips. We do Q&A calls. We've got the group, everything. We go through it all together for 7 days before, 7 days during, and 7 days after. It can be incredibly powerful. Previously, the group cleanses and the level of personal coaching that I'm now giving on this course was an add-on, an added bonus, an extra for $997, and I filled all of those spots straight away. But I just want to give you guys the personal hand-holding. I want everyone to experience that. So I'm including this time around absolutely free, because I want to be able to work with you. The feedback that I was getting was that people were doing 95% of what was in the training, but people have their different path. We're all different. So giving you that peace of mind that I'm here as your coach, it just makes this so much more powerful and so much more doable and achievable and fun and enjoyable for everybody, because I love interacting, I love connecting, and like I said, it's my mission to help as many people as possible. After the cleanse, this is especially important as we start to implement your new healthy diet and lifestyle in a way that's not like you're feeling you're on a diet for the rest of your life, but in a way that we're using the habits and the principles that you've learned and you've implemented during the cleanse and making this an ongoing daily lifetime of amazing energy. There's 3 bonuses in there that support this. Bonus number 1 is the Alkaline for Life program. That's the 4-week program that you can move straight onto after your cleanse. This was previously for sale on my website for $197. Tons of people have been through it and loved it. It makes staying alkaline so easy. You get that for free when you register. The Quit Sugar Plan, of course, giving you my full deep dive training on quitting sugar for good. That is also a free bonus. Previously, this was for sale for $97. Again, thousands of people have been through this process, and the feedback and the testimonials and the results have been absolutely phenomenal. You get that as well as soon as you join. Plus, because inflammation, I know, is such an issue for so many people, we deep dive on the anti-inflammation masterclass, which it gives you really deep dive training. It gives you a meal plan and a protocol, deep dive interviews, and so much more on how to get inflammation out of your life ongoing for good. This is zero risk to you. I have, as always, my 60-day money-back guarantee. So you can log in, join, become a part of membership. 2 of the group cleanses will be in the next 60 days. You can go through a group cleanse. You can download everything. You can use the whole course. You can do a cleanse. You can do it all and still ask for your money back. that's how confident I am that this is going to work for you. I call it my test drive guarantee because there's no risk, there's no pressure. You can go in, check it all out, you know, and there's only two ways it can really go from there. Either option one, you will do the cleanse and it will be absolutely amazing for you and get amazing benefits, and you will think that that was the most unbelievable return on investment you've ever had. Or option two, it just doesn't work. You just don't get round to it, or it's just not right for you, or it's just, you know, one of those things, and you get your money back. It's an investment that literally has no risk. And so for the Alkaline Reset Cleanse Coaching Program, with personal cleanse coaching from me working with you personally, you get my private cleanse email address. We're working together in the Facebook group. You can contact me whenever you need me, whether that's really intensely for a few weeks to begin with and then just here and there to check in on going, or whether it's nothing for 3 months and then you need me then, and then we deep dive then. It's totally there for you. I'm here for you when you need me. You obviously get the full Alkaline Reset Cleanse member site with all of the training, all of the videos, all of the meal plans, the recipes, the recipe book, the cleanse book, everything that's in there. You get the Alkaline Reset Cleanse community, the group cleanses, the Q&A coaching calls with me whenever we go through a group cleanse. You get the Alkaline for Life plan, the Quit Sugar plan, the anti-inflammation class, all of this for $197. It's actually probably the most ridiculous deal I've ever put together. Or you can get started for just $75 today on our 3-month payment plan. That's how simple this is. That's how easy I've made it for you. Now, there should be a button popping up on your screen right about now, which you can click, or you can go to that URL, bit.ly/Ross-cleanse. It's as simple as that. I would really love to get started with you guys right now. Like I said, this is probably my favorite program. It's certainly the most impactful program. It's certainly the most life-changing program that I've done. I teach other programs. I've been through a lot of other programs, and they're very much, you know, getting started, moving forward, moving forward, moving forward. The cleanse is easily the most powerful, impactful, life-changing program that I've ever taught. We can talk more about it in the FAQs in the Q&A in just a moment. I'm going to start answering all of your questions that have come up. Thank you so much for you guys who have already joined and who are heading off for their dinner, etc. now. But guys, this is easily the most powerful program I've produced, and I would love to have you join me. If you want to quit sugar, the Quit Sugar program is in there, and we're going to be going through that together as a challenge. It's going to be so much fun. If you want to do the cleanse, if all of the stuff that we've talked about in the last 2 weeks has resonated with you at all, I would love to have you join. We are formally kicking off the training next week. We're closing down the free training. We're closing down the Facebook group and kicking off together in the Alkaline Reset Cleanse next week. To register, you just have to click the button that should be on your screen now, or go to that URL, bit.ly/Ross-cleanse. Once we start, we close all of this free stuff down, and the registration for this will be closing in about 48 hours from now. Close it on Tuesday night at midnight. I would love to have you guys on the course. I would love to have you in my community. That's the most incredible thing that I'm looking forward to, is the cleanse community, because it is such an awesome place. If any of you guys have been in the Facebook group for the free training, you'll see how amazing community is and how just unbelievable it can be to have that level of support around you and people that have just got your back. It's absolutely fantastic. We're going to have a very quick break now. I'm going to give you guys a chance to register. You guys that have already registered, you are awesome. I can see already, there's a good few names that have come through already. That's awesome. We're going to be doing a Q&A now. So for all of you guys that have got any questions, stay on. We're going to go through all the questions that come up now. For the next probably half an hour, we're going to go through Q&A. And then I'm going to get back to working with all the guys that have joined in the Alkaline Reset Cleanse community. So 2-minute break now, guys, and then we'll get into the Q&A.